How do you know if your friend or loved one has joined the cult? What are the warning signs? My name is Richard Turner. I'm a cult recovery therapist and cult psychology consultant. In this video today, I'm going to chat about what are the signs that somebody has been recruited into a cult? What changes might you see in their behaviour, the way they view things in the world, and their personality? The first warning sign is that they've joined a group that they think is the answer to all of their problems, answers all the questions about life, and gives them all the answers to the questions about who they are, where they're going, and seems to be almost too good to be true. Now, from that point, what you might see is that the person is devoting more and more and more time to the group and begins to miss out on other things. So the group is not just taking a portion of their week or a portion of their evening or whatever. It's taking up every evening and the weekend, and even the person is working for the group, and it's becoming completely kind of dominating over time. On top of this, then what you might find is that the person is slowly beginning to lose interest in hobbies, things that they were interested in, like sports or TV shows or computer games, anything like that. Slowly those things start to disappear. And on top of that, they start to become more and more like isolated and lose interest in friends and family. And again, that group becomes more and more a dominating feature in their life, and everything else starts to shrink down really small. They spend less time with friends. They don't do the hobbies as much anymore. And the cult becomes, well, it's starting to become what it seems to be their whole life. As this happens, what you also might find is that the cult member begins to talk about a leader or a mentor or someone that they're somehow accountable to. And you might find that that level of mentorship is very intense or invasive. The person is sharing very personal things with this mentor. They're having to run every decision by this mentor, and often that's masked or disguised as an intense program of change or a healthy accountability. But really what it is a boundary breach in a relationship, and often that mentor is assigned to control the person, although often it won't be labelled as that. So you might find that the person who you think has joined the cult is actually talking more and more about this person, this person they go to with the problems. They might be on the phone to them a lot, having video calls. They might spend a lot of time with them, to the point where it's beginning to feel like it's unhealthy. In a more practical, measurable sense, what you also might find is the person doesn't seem to have much money anymore, or is asking to lend or borrow money. This could be because they've been pressurised into buying more and more courses, or to give money to the cult, or portions of the wage to the cult. And even some cults have people working for them, but they pay them a very low wage or no wage. So the fact that the person doesn't have much money anymore can also be a bit of a red flag that they're involved in something that's not particularly healthy. When you're communicating with the person, what you might find is that they can be very defensive if you ever criticise or challenge the cult group, or they might shut down and stop talking to you and refuse to engage with you, or sometimes you get these kind of robotic, cliched phrases. And often people say to me when they ring up, it's like talking to somebody else. It's like they're reading a script. It's somebody else's words. This person who I know, they don't normally talk like this. And this is a bit of a red flag for someone being involved in the cult. It's almost like they've had some kind of personality transplant. And usually I found that the new personality that this person has is often cold and distant, and they speak it in cliches. And you do often get, with some people who are in cults, this kind of glassy-eyed, distant, disconnected look, like they're not really there or really themselves. And this is quite classic for somebody who is under the influence of coercive control, and quite a big warning sign. Additionally, what you might find is that the self-esteem starts to drop as well. Like they lose confidence, they seem unsure of themselves, they doubt themselves, they're analysing everything, and this is part of the control of a cult, part of the coercive control, the brainwashing, or whatever terminology you want to use, lowers a person's self-esteem to make them more compliant. So often, a lowering of a self-esteem is quite common. A more visual warning sign too can be that the person has started to dress differently. Sometimes, members of cults start to dress similar to each other. There might be a uniform, so everybody is dressed the same, or there's a certain style of clothing and everyone starts dressing in that style of clothing. And a lot of this is to do with that kind of stripping away of individuality and identity, which is what happens in cults. You kind of lose yourself and lose your identity. So if a person's clothing style changes, that can also be a red flag or a warning sign. Also, what can happen as well is, in terms of visual appearance, is a person might start not looking after themselves. They're not washing as much, they're not as clean. They don't seem to have that self-respect, and that can be for a number of reasons. But one of them is that they're just being worked so hard and run down by the cult that they just haven't got the energy or the strength to keep on top of the self-care. And I've even heard of some cult members beginning to look ill and thin because of the impact of the coercive control of the cult. On top of the clothing change, what you also get as well is sometimes people are assigned new names. And just like with the clothing, some of this is about stripping away the person's individuality and their real identity. And they're often given like this new cult identity who is enlightened or born again, or whatever terminology you want to use. But a lot of this is about losing and stripping away of who the person really is. So you see a change of the person's personality, the way they look, the way they talk, the way they dress, the name, and cults basically erode all of that individuality. So you'd be seeing a lot of this if someone was involved in a cult. And like I said earlier, the person is devoting more and more time to the cult. So all the other aspects to do with their role in the family or as a parent or as a friend begin to shrink as well. So the cult identity begins to just dominate everything in that person's life. And they're effectively becoming somebody else. So those are just a few of the red flags that I come across. I get lots of calls from families who are concerned about family members and partners and friends, and often it's the same things over and over. The personality has changed. I don't know who they are anymore. They seem cold, distant. They don't have time to do anything. They're not mixing with friends anymore. And all of these things are just warning signs that someone might be involved in a cult group. Now, I'm going to do some more videos explaining why some of these things are happening and going into a bit more detail. I just wanted to do a quick tour of that topic. But I think it's important, again, just to mention here that, cults control through conditional acceptance, through pressure and guilt and shame. And if you are seeing someone who's in this situation, compassion and being non-judgmental and supportive is really important. But I'll do a video more on how you actually help someone who is in a cult over the coming weeks. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave a message in the comments if you've got any questions, or if there's anything that you want to ask questions about that I could do a video on. I'm always happy to listen to feedback and any ideas and any requests. Please remember, I don't know everything, and my ideas and understanding evolves over time, and I might have a better understanding later on, or some of the things I'm saying, I could improve on. So I'm just a human being and I don't know everything. So always question and critique everything I say. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.